Well, where's the math in these pictures? It might not be so obvious. And that's because at Whitby, one of the things that makes us so different, and I think special, is that our learning comes through a transdisciplinary lens. Because when the learning is relevant, significant, and challenging, that's when true understanding happens. So, the world that our children are going to enter is changing so rapidly that it's practically impossible to imagine what it will look like. And therefore, we need to think about it differently, and we need to educate them differently. We want to empower them to be curious and to go follow their passions and to think outside the boundaries of what we have determined go with a specific discipline. Transdisciplinary learning is an essential skill for the future because it allows them to make connections and to find greater depth and complexity than they could have if they were learning in isolation. So we're starting the process now. It begins as early as our little ones, 18 months. We create a culture of curiosity where math is viewed as a language of communication and process is valued as much as the product. Mistakes are not only anticipated, but celebrated, because the only bad mistake is the one that you don't learn from. We then build skill, as Amanda was saying, we build skill through these amazing materials and through engaging lessons. Kids learn the foundations of number sense, place value, logical reasoning, spatial relations, data, measurement, you name it. They're learning it as early as 18 months through their environment and through their lessons. These skills are continually reinforced and differentiated through deliberate practice as they continue through our continuum, as they go through our continuum. But then we start to look for connections, because who cares about place value if there's no purpose for it, or if you don't understand the purpose for it? So they start to find logical connections, and we start to provide them with opportunities to apply these skills, because we're looking for a balance of skill building, conceptual understanding, and problem solving. So Amanda showed this as well, and I love this picture. I think it shows how important this was to us. This is an LA class, and their unit was, they were studying under the unit of who we are. And so they were looking at themselves as learners, and they were saying, hey, what learner profile trait fits me best? And if I know my learner profile trait, and I know your learner profile trait, and I know yours, then we can become a community that collaborates and supports each other in a better way. And they were learning this, and they were understanding it, and then they were like, how can we find out more? Hey, wait, we've been learning about data. Yes. Right? We can use this data, we can create surveys, we can talk to our peers, we can ask them questions, and then we can make graphs so we can see what learning style is the most prevalent in LE, and how can we capitalize on that, and how can we use that? And then they had this great idea, because we're learning about humans, to create a human bar graph. And they talked about this. Hey, I can see that most kids are caring, and I can see their faces, so now I know who they are, so I can visualize that. But at the heart of this was the skill building of data. I'm sure that a lot of you have experienced our ME economics sale. It happens every other year, but this year it's going to happen again. These kids, through their math classes, they had to learn the foundation skills of decimals, percents, probability, calculation of revenue and profit. They learned all these skills, and then they were asked to put them to use. They created business plans. They wrote letters to the head of lower school asking her for money, and she said yes. Because they used math as a language of communication, and they convinced her that this was going to work. They said, hey, I can prove that I'll make a profit because here's the cost of my materials, here's how I'm going to do it, and I promise you people will buy it because here's my strategy. And she gave them money, and she got most of it back. They went through the process, they had it, some of them failed. But you know what, then they revised their plans and they said, if I have the opportunity again, I'm going to do it differently. And then they took that money and they invested it in small startup companies around the world so they could support new entrepreneurs to follow in that path, to have that opportunity. The garden has been a huge topic around school this year. Every year, we try and get this garden going. Every year, kids want to take this on as their exhibition program, inquiry. And this year we said we're going to put it in the curriculum. And these kids are in the garden every day, and they're planting, and they're learning about sustainability. But you know what? They're also doing math. They had to figure out the area and perimeter. They had to figure out how many plants could be could fit per square foot. They had to figure out the volume of the soil. How much will it cost to fill those beds? How much will it cost to put the gravel in there? It's all there. The foundation level skills are there, they're differentiated, and then they're connected to something that's meaningful. When we strive to balance foundation level skills with conceptual understanding and problem solving, we can achieve really great things. So if your child comes home from school and tells you we don't do math at Whitby, don't panic. It just means that we've actually done our job and created such a meaningful transdisciplinary approach that they're not even realizing it because it's not that worksheet that you all pictured at the beginning. So thank you for letting us take a risk today.